185 del 1990 che vieta diciamo, la spedizione, il transito di armamenti in stati come Israele, come Arabia Saudita, e per interessi economici non vengono fatte rispettare, o ad esempio quelle che sono le leggi internazionali. E proprio per questa motivazione ho deciso di imbarcarmi su una barche della Global Sud Flottiglia per aprire un corridoio umanitario e per rompere l'assedio che la popolazione di Gaza sta vivendo da più di 75 anni. Quindi è proprio la volontà dei nostri governi a mantenere lo stato delle cose, e noi stiamo dimostrando, e noi lavoratori intendo, stiamo dimostrando che se organizzati in sindacati riusciamo anche a cambiare quelle che sono non solo le logiche italiane, governative dei nostri stati, e dicendo, ma anche quelle che sono, diciamo, le politiche internazionali. Le mobilitazioni in Italia sono state potentissime anche e soprattutto grazie alle organizzazioni studentesche, con la quale abbiamo costruito un rapporto continuativo dove studenti e operai si sono presentati nelle piazze, in questo caso con USB, che è il nostro sindacato, assieme all'organizzazione Cambiare Rotta e OSA, che sono le due organizzazioni che hanno fin da subito occupato le scuole per rompere gli accordi diciamo istruttivi verso Israele, è stato l'elemento di forza che ha condotto le manifestazioni e dallo sciopero generale del 22 settembre. Questa modalità ovviamente la replicheremo il 28 di novembre, dove rinnovo l'invito alla partecipazione, e se volete venire a Genova siete i benvenuti. Grazie.
Thank you so much, Jose. It's such an honor to have you with us. It's also an incredible honor to have with us our next guest, Francesco I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I apologize. Stacchioli, who is the National Secretary of the Italian Trade Confederation, USB, organized the first national strike for Palestine globally, taking millions to the streets of Italy in September and again in October. And we'll do it again, as we just heard, on November 28th, with the slogan, "Let's shut everything down for Palestine." Francesco has played a key role in showing the power of organized labor to lead the fight to stop the genocide, open humanitarian corridors, and demand that the Italian government end all political and economic relations with Israel. He has led the USB in repeatedly bringing Italy to a halt with a general strike to stop the Palestinian genocide and oppose all wars. Francesco has also worked tirelessly to connect the dots, focusing on the harm that Zionism does to the working class people in Italy, where, as in many other places, the government supports a war economy, allocates enormous resources to rearmament, while cutting wages and public services for working class people. So I think we'll skip the clips that we have in the interest of time, Mark, and just go straight ahead to Francesco. Thank you so much for joining us, Francesco.
Se mi sentite, intanto buon pomeriggio per noi, buongiorno per voi, chi sta dall'altra parte dell'Atlantico. Vi ringrazio per aver organizzato questo webinar, a cui personalmente, a nome di tutta l'organizzazione, siamo estremamente onorati di poter partecipare, quindi un grande ringraziamento a voi. Non è stato un caso che da Genova, dal CALP, da USB è stato l'epicentro del terremoto che ha un po' squassato il nostro paese, in senso positivo per fortuna una volta, e che ancora continua a movimentare le piazze, a movimentare le manifestazioni. C'è una storia che parte dallo sciopero che abbiamo deciso insieme con i portuali, deciso insieme con ferrovieri e altri lavoratori dei settori strategici, sciopero contro il carico e scarico di armi, sia verso Israele, sia verso tutti gli stati e tutti i teatri di guerra. Questo sciopero ha portato al blocco di 3 navi a Genova tra giugno e i primi di agosto, ed è stato uno dei motivi per i quali in qualche modo José è stato uno dei motivi per cui José è salito sulla flottiglia, ed è stato uno dei motivi per cui quando Ricky, il famoso Ricky, quello del video Blocchiamo tutti, che ha fatto il giro del mondo, ha lanciato lo slogan Blocchiamo tutto, noi siamo stati in grado di raccogliere la sfida e di poter bloccare tutto producendo uno sciopero generale in 20 giorni, che non è una cosa semplice. Lo sciopero generale del 22 settembre ha 3 caratteristiche che sono state. La prima è che è il primo sciopero che aveva come tema centrale, unico, la questione palestinese, il genocidio, l'apertura di corridoi umanitari, l'interruzione di ogni relazione diplomatica ed economica con Israele. Era il primo sciopero dove su questa questione in prima linea c'erano lavoratori e lavoratrici, che è una novità insieme agli studenti che hanno svolto un'azione bellissima insieme alle associazioni e ai movimenti dei palestinesi che sono stati insieme a noi a riempire quelle piazze, insieme a gente normalissima, tant'è vero che prima dello sciopero noi siamo stati inondati di chiamate di gente che scioperava per la prima volta in vita sua e lo ha fatto per la Palestina. E terza questione, è stato uno sciopero di massa, ovvero in poco più di 90 piazze che sono state fatte in tutte le città, grandi, medie, piccole, sono scesi in piazza più di 1,5 milioni di persone, senza che fosse organizzata parte USB da alcun sindacato di massa e da nessun partito politico. Questa è stata un'azione spontanea e la gente è venuta con noi a bloccare i porti, a bloccare gli aeroporti, a bloccare le stazioni, a bloccare le autostrade, a bloccare tutto. Quel giorno non si è mosso un singolo chiodo in tutto il paese, ma questo l'ha fatto le persone. E avevamo il problema che ci sono manifestazioni che hanno fatto 18 chilometri e la gente non andava via. Questo, voglio dire, ci ha portato pure ad aprire canali internazionali e noi siamo anche come organizzazione lieti di aver supportato la Uniting for Peace, la risoluzione ONU. Siamo contenti di averla supportata perché è la risoluzione ONU che ha coinvolto le associazioni dei palestinesi, che pone un discrimine tra chi ha supportato e chi non ha supportato il genocidio per il futuro della sicurezza in terra palestinese e che pone la questione di non permettere alcun veto ma di andare a votazione a maggioranza, e noi speriamo che veramente questo possa accadere e sia una delle cose più
Francesco, can you please slow down a little
ok,
for the interpreter? Thank you.
sì, ok. Ed è una delle quindi queste 3 questioni ci hanno convinto a supportare la risoluzione e essere tra quelli che in qualche modo oggi sono presenti qui in questa situazione. Come ha detto Giose, noi abbiamo riconvocato, ci sono delle cose che dobbiamo continuare a fare. La prima cosa è noi manterremo, perché da lì siamo partiti e non siamo disposti a fare un passo indietro, manteniamo lo sciopero su tutti i carichi e scarichi di armi in tutti i porti, aeroporti, stazioni, ferrovie e logistica. Questo non solo perché è un sistema per impedire o almeno rendere difficile il traffico di armi verso Israele, ma è un modo per cui noi poniamo la questione della guerra che nel nostro continente, l'Europa, è un tema di profonda e drammatica attualità. L'Unione Europea e tutti gli stati si stanno preparando a un conflitto stanno militarizzando i porti, le strutture strategiche, stanno riconvertendo le industrie, in particolare quelle tedesche, alla produzione di armamenti. Questo è quello che avviene prima dei grandi conflitti mondiali ed è un tema per il quale noi non possiamo porre. Ovviamente noi stiamo lavorando per tutte le forme possibili di embargo per Israele. Non è semplice, non è facile, non possiamo essere da soli, dipende da altre, anche da quello che fanno altri sindacati e soprattutto da quello che fa. Sul governo Meloni non abbiamo nessuna fiducia, ovviamente il governo Meloni rimarrà al fianco del governo israeliano, ma pensiamo che le istituzioni locali possano aiutarci a rendere i porti liberi dalle armi. Terzo punto, abbiamo convocato uno sciopero per il 28 di novembre. La piattaforma di questo sciopero è sulla Palestina, ma è anche sulla questione sociale, sui salari, sui diritti, sui servizi pubblici, sulle pensioni. Noi pensiamo che questo è importante comprenderlo. Chi massacra il popolo palestinese, chi sta riarmando le nazioni per una futura guerra è lo stesso che ti fotte il salario, ti ruba il salario, è lo stesso che ti ruba i diritti, è lo stesso che ti ruba i servizi pubblici, gli ospedali, la pensione e che precarizza il mondo. Francesca Albanese, che cito e a cui rendo onore, lo ha detto: il genocidio e le guerre sono una questione economica e noi dobbiamo essere pronti a saldare il nesso tra la lotta per la Palestina e la lotta per i diritti sociali. I lavoratori devono essere in prima linea, noi abbiamo fatto quello che era possibile fare, continueremo a farlo, vi ringraziamo per averci ascoltati, rimaniamo in attesa e soprattutto per una Palestina libera, per il lavoro che si riprende il suo ruolo contro ogni imperialismo. Grazie.
Jill, do you want to jump in? Thank you so much, Francesco. You're muted.
Okay, yeah, apologies. Yes, thank you so very much, Francesco. Thank you for your inspiring words and your actions, and for really everything you said. Thank you for your role with the USB, which is such an exemplary union that is very much an inspiration to us all, and which takes us to our next speaker, who we are also extremely grateful to have with us today. And his work, Chris Small's work, exemplifies how the struggle for the rights of workers are inseparable. That is, the rights of workers in our home country is inseparable from the rights of workers and the human rights of people all over the world, in particular in Palestine. Chris Smalls is best known for establishing the only union successfully established yet against or at an Amazon work site, where he was fired actually in 2020 for organizing workers to protect themselves against the very risky employment circumstances, crowding and so on during the COVID pandemic. He was fired, and then he went on to organize activists at that site without any outside support from the larger unions, fought really as a small band, relatively small compared to a nearly $3 trillion company, Amazon. They fought and successfully established a union, which then went on to affiliate with the Teamsters. That fight continues at the same time in the US. Let's see. There we go. Okay. That fight continues as the fight of oligarchy grows stronger to suppress workers' rights in this country, where working people are struggling to just keep a roof over their heads. Let's see, we're getting, all right, see if we can correct that. So we have a big fight in this country for the rights of workers. And let me pause for just a minute while we get our streams sorted out. For some reason, we are hearing in the English channel, we're also hearing the Italian. Let's see if we're on track now. One moment, I can see they are trying to straighten this out behind the scenes. I'll continue. I'll just pause if the translation voice comes in. But in this country, you know, the U.S. is not only the seat of the empire, the seat of the most, as Martin Luther King says, my country is the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. Said that back in the 1960s, and this country is still the greatest purveyor
Y este
of
país
violence
todavía
in
sigue
the world
siendo
today.
el que principalmente el que trae,
And
el violentador del resto del mundo hacia.
I'll just pause while we're getting the translation feed into the English feed. I'll just pause if that continues. So we are the seat of empire, and we are also a profound seat of the oppression of working people, and the struggle of workers even to organize here in this country is a very difficult one, and becomes more intense really by the day. And exemplary of that, Chris's work establishing the first union really led then to many struggles where Amazon poured more and more money and legal action into suppressing workers' rights. And it is to his credit and thank you, whatever you did behind the scenes there, Mark. Thank you for straightening out our communications lines. This struggle goes on, and Chris himself then connecting the dots between the struggle here for workers in this country with the struggle for working people around the world. He too, like several others on this call, was involved in the flotilla, the Freedom Flotilla, just before the Samud, and was singled out as the only African American, was singled out and horribly tortured and mistreated while he was in Israeli custody. And with the courage that he has shown all along, he just, he did not cave. He continued to fight. He was released, and he continues to inspire us. Just a couple days ago, on Friday, actually, at Chris's behest, he brought together activists, workers, those who are opposing the genocide, to the doorstep of the AFL-CIO, the largest union, federation of unions here in this country, where we are bringing the struggle home to the AFL-CIO, which continues to suppress the fight against genocide, to suppress workers who are trying to organize, even just to pass resolutions against it. So Chris is very much involved. We're so grateful to him for his role connecting the dots, his refusal to be silenced, and for galvanizing the greater power of working people in this country and around the world. And thank you so much, Chris, for all you're doing and taking the time to be with us today. Take it away.
Thank you, Dr. Jill. I appreciate you. And thank you, everybody, for being here on this important, urgent webinar. It's always good to see brothers and sisters from around the world come together for one commonality. It's always good to see like-minded individuals who understand the times that we're in, understand that we have to step up and use our strongest weapon, which is our labor and our bodies. So thank you all for being here today. Um, I think I rather transition to my activism here because I it's so much power on this one webinar. Um, I got to make sure I take advantage of this opportunity to talk to worldwide trade unionists, activists, community leaders, and let you guys know. I think we all know what the issue is when we're talking about speaking truth to power. Well, we already know that the power knows the truth. They know what they've been doing. They know that this genocide is happening despite of the ceasefire. They know that by neutralizing us and our voices, it doesn't help the movement, and we can't allow that. Um, Speaking of the flotillas, I'm glad people, everybody here has been aware. We've been spreading a lot of awareness with these latest initiatives, especially with the global Samud. Um, but we have to remind ourselves, how did we get here? We got to remind ourselves that this flotilla mission initiative didn't just start with the global Samud or the Hundela that I was on, which was actually flotilla number 37. Um, this flotilla initiative started 17 years ago. And we got to remind ourselves that 17 years ago, Israel was still controlling the borders of Gaza. And we got to remind ourselves that the people of Gaza was facing starvation before October 7th. And remind ourselves that this illegal humanitarian blockade has been happening for over 2 decades, and we can say longer than that. Israel has always controlled the borders of Gaza, whether it was with food or whether it was with products and goods. They've always controlled the borders of Gaza. So when we're talking about our history as the trade union movement, our history doesn't get taught to us in our classrooms. Our history doesn't get taught to us in our media, our legacy media. Um, we have to understand that the trade union movement is the resistance. Palestinian liberation has always stood hand in hand with the trade union movement. The resistance, the trade union movements have always been hand in hand since the first Nakba. And we're now at Nakba 77 this past year. And we understand that we're still in the resistance. But what our opponents and our oppressors don't understand is that they can't kill resistance. They think they can. They believe that they can kill resistance by destroying 95% of Gaza, by killing over 680,000 innocent Palestinians, men, women, and children. But they don't understand just how my union here in the US was able to take on a $2.2 trillion company, one of the most modern, powerful companies in modern times, that employs 2.5 million workers worldwide. When people ask, how was you able to defeat such a behemoth? The answer and the formula is simple. It's actually right here in this call. It's actually right here in our communities. It is the power of people when we come together. And just how we were able to bring people together to take on the richest man, the richest company in the world and defeat them, Gaza, the people of Palestine, is doing the same exact thing. They are showing us that we have to bring the world together right now, bring people together, everyday people, whether you're union or non union. Everyday civilians are coming together around the world for one common cause. We have already won that battle. We have already won the public opinion. We already know what the Zionist entities are doing with our governments, with the influence of politics, with the suppression of our censorship on social media and our voices. We already know that they have to do these things in order to divide us because their biggest fear is having all of these countries that's here on this webinar come together. So what we must do in these times right now, we have to do more direct action. We have to take more escalation. We have to take more risk. And we also have to take more sacrifice. We don't do the work that we do without sacrificing something. If you talked about Palestine within the last 2 years, you lost something. I can speak from my own experience. I've lost so many opportunities, financial, whether it was amplifying my cause with Amazon workers, didn't matter. Overnight, people canceled because we said the word Palestine. And guess what? We can't allow these folks to discourage us and distract us and diminish our voices. Instead, we have to do more. So, as Dr. Jill said, on Friday, we took everyday civilians, we took trade unionists, workers, activists, community leaders to the doorsteps of the largest federation in the US, the voice for the US labor movement that represents 12.5 million workers who have 60 unions underneath this one umbrella that includes the ILA, the Longshoremen Association, that controls every US port in our country, who's been shipping weapons every 15 hours for the last 2 years to Israel, who's been manufacturing weapons, who has contracts with Israel's stocks and bonds and pensions. We took our voices and our demands to their doorstep, and not only took it there, we delivered our petition, and it was accepted by the chief of staff, that is direct access to the president, Liz Schultz, and we gave them 1 week notice. 1 week notice to respond to this petition signed by thousands of people, saying that we want all U.S. labor unions to fully divest from Israel, saying that we want them to condemn Israel for its war crimes. We want them to follow suit of calling it a genocide, calling it what it is, and absolutely condemning what happened to myself as a labor leader, what happened to the 7 Americans on the Hundela, what happened to all of the Americans on the Global Samud flotilla. And if these demands are not met, if we do not get a response, we will return to the largest federation in the US and escalate more. And we will continue to do that just how we pledged 17 years ago to send flotilla after flotilla until we break the illegal siege. It's never about delivering humanitarian aid, because even if we deliver humanitarian aid, there's a rehabilitation process that we're not even talking about. The humanitarian aid is one piece, but the siege is the main objective. And the same thing with this genocide. The genocide will not stop until the weapons stop. If we do not stop the weapon shipments, the genocide will continue to happen. Trump just went on the air a few days ago and bragged about how many weapons he's been giving Bibi Netanyahu. This weapon, that weapon, me creating weapons, weapons he doesn't even know the name of. He's giving it to them, and that goes by the hands of unionized workers here in the US, which is a shame that we have to call this out. But once again, when our governments fail us, when corporations fail us, when politicians fail us, it is up to everyday civilians to step up, just how we are doing with the flotilla initiatives. And just how when the USB called that general strike and brought out millions of workers in Italy, it wasn't just unionized workers. We're talking about students, universities, and even high schools that were occupied. And I've learned this from my journey around the world. I was just in Italy last week. I will be returning soon, hopefully. I will return to any other country that has the solidarity that we have here in the US. And I hope to see and continue to build the international solidarity, because that's also how we will put an end to this genocide, by building international solidarity, real strong relationships, something that is very unprecedented here in the US, because our labor movement has been complicit for far too long. So I'm here as one individual, but I am the voice of many. And I'm also representing, once again, as Jill said, the first union in American history for Amazon workers. And Amazon has everything to do with this genocide. If you didn't know, they invested $7.2 billion called Project Nimbus, which is the intelligence and the web services, Amazon Web Services, that is being used to target and kill innocent Palestinians every single day. Amazon has everything to do with this genocide. They are essentially the Iron Dome. Their intelligence is the Iron Dome. The same thing here in the US. Amazon has billions of contracts with the Pentagon and the military industrial complex. So if you're supporting Amazon, you are supporting genocide. But unfortunately, people do not know these things. So it's up to us to connect these struggles, connect these dots, and educate our neighbors, educate our family members, educate our friends, educate our loved ones. Because the revolution that we're talking about here, the revolution starts with yourself. What are we as individuals here willing to sacrifice for the greater cause of this Palestinian liberation? Because Palestinian liberation is a labor issue. They are a working class country. So for us, we have a lot of work to do. And if you're in two categories, or in both, one of each, if you're a leader here on the call, right now is the time to lead. If you're an activist here on the call, right now is the time to get active. If you're both, right now, it's the time to do both. We cannot wait no longer. There is no cavalry coming for us. Our government is not going to wake up one day and give the people of Palestine what they want. Our politicians are not going to lead the people to general strikes. It's going to be by the people. So I heard about the date of November 28th. What I hope to do here, while we have the opportunity with world leaders and trade unions from around the world, we all should go in the streets November 28th in our prospective countries. Make this an international day of action and solidarity for the liberation of Palestine. We need global strikes around the world collectively. And while we have this opportunity, we all should be planning for November 28th or whatever day we decide to take the streets. But let's plan a global international day of action for Palestine, starting with the US, who is the number one supplier for weapons and money. Because the same week they called ceasefire is the same week Trump gave $6 billion of our taxpaying dollars to Israel. So there is no ceasefire. So we understand that. We understand what our opponents are doing. We have to do more. Direct action is what we say here. Direct action always gets the goods. So let's take more direct action. Let's continue to build this international movement, international solidarity, and remind ourselves that the revolution starts with yourself. And when people ask us, how are we able to defeat corporations, billionaires, uh, the evilness of our governments? Is people power, y'all. Love and solidarity and the power to all people. I'm happy to be here with you guys. I'm here if you need me. Please reach out to me. Please take my contact information if you don't have it. I would love to continue building this. I'm not here to deliver a speech. I'm here to deliver a call to action, and I'm asking everybody to join us. Go on our website right now, disarmgenocide.org. Sign our petition. Even if you don't live in the US, put whatever information you can. Who cares? We just want our signatures, and we're going to continue to escalate. We gave the largest federation 1 week, and we will be back at their doorsteps. We were asking for everybody in the trade union movement around the world to join us. Thank you all for having us. Solidarity, y'all.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Chris. We're so honored and excited to have you with us and looking forward to the AFL-CIO's response. We're over time. I want to make sure we have time for at least one round of questions, so I'll move on to our final guest, Suzanne Adderley, who is the president of the National Lawyers Guild, a member of the U.S. Palestinian Community Network, and co-convener of Labor for Palestine National Network. I'm also going to add that she's with the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, in addition to all of that. The Labor for Palestine National Network was founded in 2004 to reclaim the legacy of working class solidarity with Palestine. Suzanne is a former public school teacher and longtime grassroots and labor organizer who has organized for over a decade alongside workers in the US and globally throughout the automobile, agriculture, and food supply chains. Thank you so much for joining us, Suzanne.
Thank you. And thank you to Adrian and Jill for organizing this webinar and inviting me. And thank you for all the speakers. As Adrian mentioned, Labor for Palestine was created in 2004 through the collaboration of union leaders led by anti-Zionist socialist Jewish labor leader Michael Letwin and Palestinian and Arab grassroots organizers in Al Auda, New York, the Palestine Rights Return Coalition. It was created in response to a growing anti-war movement, particularly a labor anti-war movement that refused to take up the issue of Palestine. Also, as Adrian mentioned, we often say that Labor for Palestine from its inception sought to reclaim the legacy of working class solidarity with Palestine in the US, as reflected in groundbreaking statements by the League of Revolutionary Black Workers in 1969 and wildcat strikes led by Arab auto workers against the United Auto Workers leadership's support for Israel in 1973. I actually have a photograph behind me of that action. These labor actions in the late 60s and early 70s signified the first call for boycott, divestment, and sanctions against the Zionist entity in the US. It also called for racial justice, for worker justice, for union democracy, and for international solidarity with all the workers in the global South who were liberating themselves from colonial oppression. In support of the Palestinian call for BDS in 2005, we began by calling for US unions to divest from the Zionist project and end their relationship with Histadrut. Then we called on them to use their labor power to end the siege in Gaza and to end the occupation. Today, we continue to call for US unions to use their labor power to end the genocide, and we make clear our support for the right of resistance of the Palestinian people. We focus on providing organizing support and political education for rank and file and labor officers to challenge both their unions and industry support for the Zionist project.
Suzanne, I've had a request to slow down a little further for the interpreter, sorry.
Yeah. In the past 20 years, these efforts have never gone unopposed. And there are forces within the US labor movement who have sought to undermine this solidarity through anti-democratic tactics at every step. We have written a great deal about the history of US labor support for Zionism. And it's important to point out that this support was never inevitable. The early radical worker movements in the US, which included many Jewish labor leaders, were opposed to the Zionist project. There was a deliberate campaign to change that, which coincided with a deliberate campaign to purge US unions of leftist ideas and to build labor institutions that became aligned, with the Democratic Party and supported the status quo of capitalist growth and imperialism, and fundamentally did not truly respect worker democracy. This is one of the reasons why yesterday's action was so important. Escalating our demands against the AFL-CIO, which has played a role in stifling worker democracy and has in various ways supported the imperialist Zionist agendas all over the world, including in places like Venezuela, where the US has been attempting regime change for years and is now threatening with an illegal war. Our movement has grown slowly, with an upsurge of rank and file support every time there was an escalation of Zionist genocidal violence, particularly in Gaza. We learned that every fight for Palestine solidarity within our unions helped to build class consciousness, helped to build internationalism, and strengthened worker democracy. Historical rank and file fights against apartheid South Africa by port workers had the same impact and are part of the same legacy. In the past 2 years, the network has grown into over 50 affiliates around the country in various sectors and industries. This growth was not only in response to the depravity of the genocide, but because of the inspiration of the Palestinian resistance. We are inspired by the workers in Italy, Greece, Brazil, around the world, and we repeat the call of Gaza's unions. Calls for ceasefire are not enough. Resolutions are not enough. We must build the capacity, build the labor power to stop the genocide supply chain, not only to support the Palestinian labor struggle, but to ultimately dismantle the whole imperialist economy in the US. The forces of fascism have consolidated around the world and continue to consolidate. Therefore, the resistance must consolidate. The conditions of fascism have always been here. They live within colonialism, within imperialism, and capitalist exploitation. In the US, the conditions live on the political spectrum, on a political spectrum of both Democrats and Republicans. The inhuman genocide and the heightened repression of those challenging the genocide, increasing racist violence, military law, are all expressions of a US hegemony that is desperate to hold on to its power in the face of a changing world, a crisis of capitalism and imperialism. International worker solidarity frightens them. The international support for Palestinian resistance terrifies them. As workers in the US, we must build a united front to challenge the repression of our movements, to challenge the genocide, to restore our labor rights, and to challenge the threat of war in places like Venezuela. We must do that in a way that uplifts the truth of Zionism and imperialism. As workers in the imperialist core, we need to also be part of an international united front and understand that what we must do to dismantle Zionism and imperialism. Now is the time. I think that there's a great deal that we can say about all of these topics, but I just want to leave with a quote from another Labor for Palestine co-convener, union leader and people scholar Karina Mullen. No amount of fascist violence can reverse the rising dawn of liberation for the global majority. Palestine, much like Algeria before it, has become, as another insurgent thinker of an earlier generation, Frantz Fanon, put it, the hornet's nest, where US-led imperialism has gotten stuck, its infinite hopes devoured by the very liberation it sought to crush. We must continue to build the vision for a working class movement, both in the US and internationally, to continue to support the Palestinian liberation struggle and to continue to support a future without the violence of colonialism, imperialism, and capitalist exploitation. So thank you very much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Suzanne. This is a perfect way, I think, to wrap up the panel itself. Such a great overview and background. I wanted to start out with just one quick question for, let's see, for Jose and Francesco, and also Suzanne, if you want to jump in, because I know IADL has endorsed. The USB and IADL have endorsed Uniting for Peace as the plan that is proposed by President Petro of Colombia to send a protection force to Palestine, and is what Ubay has spoken with us about to start out with. I want to ask if you could say a few words
Sì.
about why that is important and what it has to do, how it connects with your work as labor leaders.
Vado io, Fra. Ok,
Vai, tranquillo.
allora, diciamo che l'elemento vero che si è riusciti a mettere in campo negli ultimi anni soprattutto è anche il fattore dell'inflazione. Cioè non solo esportiamo armi e quindi guerre morte, ma ci ritorna in casa sotto forma di inflazione, perché se i nostri governi aumentano la spesa pubblica, come il caso italiano, dal 2% al 5%, vuol dire che questo gap viene tolto da quelle che sono le risorse per l'istruzione, la sanità, le pensioni, e quindi indirettamente crea un impoverimento anche dei lavoratori. In più l'elemento è appunto che sulla Palestina si è, come dire, fatto letteralmente vedere in mondovisione, cioè noi stiamo assistendo a un genocidio, e quindi ha chiarificato anche a chi pensava che le guerre fossero distanti da noi una cosa, no, che non potrebbe mai accadere. Quello che oggi accade in Palestina è quello che potrebbe accadere in qualunque altro stato, cioè una guerra imperialista sullo sfruttamento di una terra, opprimendo la popolazione. Noi in Italia lo vediamo con il fatto che oggi la polizia, qualche giorno fa, in una città importante come la città di Bologna, abbia sgomberato una famiglia per farci dei B&B. Cioè è la stessa tecnica, in maniera più subdola, ma è la stessa tecnica. Quindi c'è tutta una serie di elementi che oggi sono talmente chiari che la classe lavoratrice, oltre a subire quelle che sono le scelte politiche, come nel nostro caso della Meloni, ma anche del Partito Democratico negli ultimi anni, siano in linea con quello che oggi porta avanti il sionismo in Israele. E quindi diventa una necessità di sopravvivenza mobilitarsi per far sì che, come dire, l'oggettività delle cose cambi.
Integro solo brevemente, c'è anche la questione internazionale. La questione internazionale, oltre le cose che ha detto Giose, quindi la necessità di creare un fronte internazionale dietro una risoluzione dell'ONU che sicuramente crea un discrimine tra chi ha sostenuto il genocidio, come il governo Meloni, e chi non lo ha sostenuto e quindi può garantire per la pace, per la sicurezza e la pace nella Palestina, è uno degli elementi con i quali probabilmente noi creiamo quel fronte internazionale di sostegno e di blocco e di embargo e di sciopero contro le armi e di scioperi generali nei singoli paesi, che è l'elemento centrale per fare in modo che Israele accada qualcosa che sia, speriamo, più velocemente possibile, anche se è complesso, quello che è accaduto nel Sudafrica con l'apartheid, cioè lo sgretolamento di un sistema apparentemente inattaccabile di potere. Grazie.
Should I try to answer? Yeah. So as Adrian mentioned, I'm also a member of the Bureau of the International Association of Democratic Lawyers, and we have consultative status in the UN, and we have progressive legal associations from around the world. And we have been supporting this Uniting for Peace resolution because what is fundamental about it is that it calls for the nations of the world to use its power to bypass the corruption of the Security Council and to demand that there be accountability for genocide, that there be a stop to the genocide, that there be that international law and human rights are honored. And it's been a very long time since the General Assembly has used its action the way it should be used. We know that it has succeeded in, for example, voting for against a blockade. It has succeeded in passing resolutions against apartheid, in support of Palestine. But it has to really test. It's imperative that it really works to test its power as a global majority, as an assembly that represents the global majority. And we know that the Western powers are doing everything they can to stop that from happening, which is one of the reasons why they elected this former German minister to be the head of General Assembly right now, which we protested, right? Where we tried to protest because they're trying to control the way that conversations are developing in the General Assembly. So, until we can build an alternative international legal system, we need to continue to fight within the one that we have, right? And as much as folks might think that is a waste of time, we need to demand that this UN institution do what it was meant to do and honor the sentiments of the global majority who are saying end the genocide, end the occupation, free Palestine, right? And the IDL thinks that what they ultimately must do is expel Israel from the United Nations to begin with, and also to pass a resolution saying that the creation of a state of Israel itself was illegal, right? We cannot go back from here. We cannot go back from this colonial Zionist genocidal entity. We need to use the UN system to dismantle Zionism in every way that we can.
Adrian, if I could just jump in quickly, thank you so much to all of the speakers and to your remarks, Suzanne, about using the system that we have. The current proposals that are moving into the Security Council now seek to impose a Haiti-type occupation force from the UN on Palestine. And it's very important that we use this system that we have to prevent that from happening. And as many speakers have said, we are actually winning this war in the court of public opinion. Overwhelmingly, the people of Palestine have the support and sympathy of people around the world and even people in the United States who have been so propagandized, so poisoned by nonstop falsehoods through our corporate media. Even here, the people of Palestine are winning, and the numbers in the US show that there is twice as much opposition to Israel as there is support. So the forces of democracy, both here and around the world, are very strong in favor of Palestine's liberation. And specifically, the UN took a vote a year ago through this Uniting for Peace mechanism, which means that it works in the General Assembly, the people's institution, so to speak, in the UN, rather than the Security Council, which is the institution of the elite and powerful countries of militarism, empire, and oligarchy. That vote 1 year ago was 90% in favor of the UN taking action concrete action to compel Israel to comply with the rulings of the International Court of Justice, saying that Israel must end its occupation, its apartheid, and its acts of genocide. So the will is there, the means is there, the mechanism is there. We should not allow this opportunity to be stolen from us, which is what the Trump plan is attempting to do, to insert a so-called stabilization force. What are they stabilizing? They seek to stabilize occupation and ongoing chronic genocide. So it's very important that we say no to that and stand up and support the Uniting for Peace alternative, which President Petro has promised to put forward. And again, people can help make that happen by going to Lifeline for Palestine. We too have a petition and many actions that you can take right now to help put the brakes on, to stop this attempt to steal from the people of the world the real opportunity that we have right now to do what the UN has done before, but in a much more powerful way and under extremely compelling and desperate circumstances. And with this, I think we are going to transition to Roger. Is that correct, Adrian? Do you want to jump in just to give us guidance now on our next steps here?
Nope, that's correct.
Okay, great. Since we've had such wonderful speakers, we're a little bit over time, so we're going to hold off on the Q&A. Maybe we will have a follow-up session, but we will have follow-up. I think that's the overwhelming conclusion, I think, of this discussion, is that there is so much power, so much wisdom, so much integrity that is concentrated on our screens right now in the work that our participants are doing, in the work that all of us as labor activists or community activists, as human beings, that we are really full now in force to use that power. I'm going to end just saying, quoting Malcolm X, who said, "We are not outnumbered, we're just out-organized." And the organizing that's reflected in this conversation is unbelievable. And when we cross-link our organizations to keep this going and build, we are going to be absolutely unstoppable together. So I want to encourage people to just stay tuned. We will be coordinating follow-up on the many projects that were mentioned, including November 28th, a day of general strike, which, as Chris said, should certainly be a global general strike, maybe not just for a day, and the various platforms that people can go to in order to support these very important movements, including disarmgenocide.org, to really move the power of unions to get the AFL-CIO out of the hands of the Zionists, and also to follow up with Lifeline for Palestine, where we will seek to coordinate much of the very exciting projects that you've heard about today, projects and movement building. This is not about a single objective. This is about really changing, challenging empire, oligarchy, capitalism, and the very dismal future that they have created for us. We together are an unstoppable power to change that future. And to summarize this for us, we're going to turn it over now to Roger Waters, who needs no introduction as an incredible musician, artist, humanitarian, and advocate for Palestinian human rights and the human rights of us all. We're really honored to have Roger's voice and his momentum and his activism as part of this cause, and to have his leadership. So with that, we're going to have a few words from Roger, and then we will end with a really beautiful song, a new version of it that I don't know if this has been publicly played before. Last night was the first time I heard it in previewing the tape, and it's a particularly beautiful and compelling version of his latest song, inspired by the Samud Flotilla. So take it away, Roger. Give us some of your concluding thoughts before we go out with your song.
Okay. Well, it's been deeply inspiring to sit here and listen to Chris and Suzanne and all the other union leaders and speakers who've spoken to us this afternoon. I'm deeply encouraged by it. I'm not gonna ramble on and on. I just want to try an experiment here. All I can see at the moment is a still of me thinking about singing my song Samud, which I gather we're going to do in a minute. Okay, but before we do that, I'm just going to play something on in here. You will hear now a woman singing. When she's finished, I'll tell you what it is. I hope you can hear this. Can you show me where it hurts? بعدي صوت ما في حدا ما ضل في كلام شو نفع السؤال كل اللي راح ضاع يا نارنا سكتي والنار وليه يا دار غصبي ستوب الله شات بين النجوم مليان شياط I feel your pain. Okay. Now that is a Palestinian singer called Mona Miari who lives in New York City. And I try to do something every day to join Chris Smalls and Suzanne's army of ordinary people, just one thing. And these past couple of weeks, I've been working with Mona on a remade version of my song Comfortably Numb. And that's her singing over a verse of Comfortably Numb. And as you can hear, she's singing in Arabic, okay? This is what I sing back to her in my, I've got the lyrics here, I've written them out. I've had to put my glasses on because it's a bit small. This is what I say. I feel your pain from New York City. I feel your pain across the sea. That distant ship on the horizon is reaching out to you and me, and I will never become comfortably numb. We never knew about the Nakba. I was only 5 years old in 48. We were unaware what was happening over there. It breaks my heart I came on board so late. You've reached us all with your rallying call. Now we stand here at the gate. The time has come for a new beginning, a time to draw a new line in the sand. It's time to wipe the slate, go back to 48, before the settlers stole the land. When Grandma's key unlocked the door and we protected every olive tree and every child's life was sacred, every one. Everything in tune under the sun. Every child, every tree, every life, all sacred, everyone. Is that a lullaby? Is that your child's name? Can I hear you through the rubble? Can I feel your pain? I hear you every morning. I hear you every night. I feel your steadfast perseverance when I'm turning out the light. What is that you're singing? Is that a lullaby? I'm sorry, I'm getting a bit over emotional. But so anyway, that's what I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. And if you want to play my song Sumud now, please do. I made this film for Gerald Salente and Randy Credico and others who were doing a meeting in a field in upstate New York a week ago. there were about 100 people there. So now a few more people. This is me listening to my song, Samud. So I dedicate this to all of you people who are on the flotilla out there, following the Mavi Mara and all the other flotillas that Chris was talking about. I know we've been sitting here a long time, so I'll shut up now, but thank you very much. And more power to the people, okay? Thank you.
Is it? There is a word. There is a word in Arabic. Shumud. Can I tell you what it is?
The sound is no good in here, where I am.
Steadfast perseverance. Yeah. Particularly in resistance to the occupation of your homeland. Sono.
Mark,
Touchy.
maybe you could
Can
do
you hear
just
me?
sound and not video? Mark?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, we hear
Roger,
you, Roger.
we're going to try.
This is a disaster. I can't. You need to turn it off, and I can talk for because I can't hear it, and I bet nobody else can either. The sound is impossible to hear. It's not, or is it? Is it only me who can't hear the song?
Well, one thing we could do would be to turn off the camera. Mark, can you turn off the video and just try the audio and see if that will do it? Let's give that 5 seconds. And if it doesn't work, we'll turn it back to Roger to just finish us out.
Voices, joy.
Can you turn off the camera?
And that.
Can you turn off the video on that, Mark?
Oh, it's there. I did.
I'm still seeing it. Yeah, it's still broadcasting the video.
I tell you what I'll do. Shall I? Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
we can,
Yeah,
Roger.
why don't we
Well-
abandon ship on that one?
Abandon that particular ship. Do not abandon ship. Okay, but listen, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll post this video somewhere where people can find it. We can put out a link, and anybody who wants to see me singing that song, they can go and look at it. Okay. But what else have I got to say? Nothing much. As I said at the very beginning of my few remarks, I'm deeply moved by listening to all these voices of all these union people from all over the world, and fascinated to hear about Italy and the steadfast perseverance with which ordinary working people all over the world are standing up to the criminally insane Jeff Bezoses of this world. It's been deeply moving for me to sit here for a couple of hours this afternoon and listen to the fact that this is going on. And we are not going to stop. We're not going anywhere. We're here to stay. We are at the gates, and the people of Palestine know it. And even speaking about the people of Palestine brings up images that I would much rather have lived my life without having to witness them, as we all would have done. But they're there. They'll always be there. They'll always be there in our group memory. But we will all work ceaselessly and tirelessly until, as Suzanne just said, the Zionist experiment is over forever. And there will be peace in the Middle East. As I've said on many occasions before, the only possible answer is a free Palestine from the southern borders of Lebanon to Egypt and from the Jordan River to the sea, where all the people, all of them, including Jews and Druze and Christians and agnostics and Muslims and atheists, all of them have equal religious, civil, and political and human rights. All of them, no exceptions. The age of religio or national supremacy should have died with the Nazis, and it hasn't. But it has to die now. So to see working people organizing themselves all over the world to stand with their brothers and sisters and bring Zionism to an end is deeply warming to me. So thank you all. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And that's all I have to say. Now I've got to go and watch Arsenal and Crystal Palace. Okay, who've been playing all this time. And don't tell me the result, whoever you are. I'm sorry to make light of that. But Jill, thank you for having me.
Thank you, Roger. It's really such an honor to have you and to be working with you. I'm going to let Adrian say a couple of thank yous to this amazing crew, our interpreters who have made this first of a kind conversation, at least that I've been a part of, a simultaneous multi-language, multinational convergence of the power of working people and the power of labor to shut down this war and this genocide and the larger war against working people. We have a lot of work to do together. Go ahead, Adrian, and thank, if you will, for all of us, the people who made this amazing event possible.
Sure. I just want to thank the workers who have joined us today. Thank you, Leandro, Jose, Francesco. Thank you, Suzanne. And thank you to some of my favorite workers in the world, the interpreters. Without you, international solidarity is not possible. And the work you are doing here as volunteers, as in solidarity with Palestine, is so deeply appreciated. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. We will continue to organize. I love all of the ideas that have arisen in this webinar alone, and we will make sure to follow up on them. And I'm just leaving deeply inspired. Want to draw people's attention to the website No Harbor for Genocide, which is a group that has been doing a tremendous amount of research to support the work of port workers who want to do the kind of work that our comrades here are doing. And just thank you again.
So with that, we will let everyone go on to their busy day and their busy lives, resolving that this is just the first step. This has been such an amazing, inspirational discussion. I'm really excited for us to follow up very soon with some kind of a newsletter or written communication, and we can follow up specifically on the suggestions and the projects that are going full bore right now, including preparing for this general strike on the 28th, following up to support Uniting for Peace, and to prevent the UN Security Council from making this far worse. We need to stop that and use the power of humanity across the world that wants to put an end to the genocide now. And the protection force for Palestine could actually do that, could shut down this genocide very quickly. Also, the effort to put the AFL-CIO back on the right side of history, that's going to be a difficult struggle, but we have the numbers and we have the power to really change the dynamics on the ground here. And those are just a couple of the very exciting projects that we'll be following up on. So thank you all so very much for your inspirational work. Thank you for being a part of this today. And we will be in touch soon. Free Palestine and free all of us who are struggling for the justice and the peace that we deserve. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And I forgot to mention Chris Smalls in my list of labor leaders. So thank you,
Word,
Chris.
if possible.
No problem.
28th will be general strike in Italy. 29th, national rally, national manifestation. Everybody of you is welcome in Italy. If you want to come, we welcome you. National rally on 29th of November. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. And also a big shout out for Mark Alborno, who's been running the ship behind the
Thank you,
scenes
Mark.
down there in the boiler room, putting up with all of the emergencies, one right after the other, fighting those fires. Thank you so much, Mark, for enabling us to make it today.
Thank Ubay for always being at the leadership. Thank you for Pingo's incredible work. Thank you for really for framing this and for giving us the guidance that we need as a global social movement to truly stand in solidarity with Palestinian civil society.
And I also have to thank Adrienne for her incredible blood, sweat, and tears every step of the way, making sure that this happened. So really great job, Adrienne, and to be continued. I hope we can keep you on this and you can continue to endure the slings and arrows of this very high stakes organizing. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.